Yeah.
Hi everyone, Agnes here, and I am with Shira today. Hello, Shira.
Hi, everyone. Can't believe I'm
So,
here doing this. I always dreamed of
yes,
this.
it's so good. And you have such a great story that I read out recently, and you got engaged, you got married, and a six-figure job. It's like a trifecta manifestation. So, you let people know where you are in the world, just I mean, I know where you are, but let them know.
So I'm on the east coast of the USA in Pennsylvania. Um, yeah, it's nice here there
Can
for a
you
second.
start back when you didn't have a good relationship, a good job? So we'll go back. You start right back where you want to before you had everything. What was going on?
All right. So we're rewinding back to the end of 2020. Moved to I moved in with a roommate who was absolutely horrible. And the guy I was dating had just dumped me. He said I was too good for him, and then he literally got engaged to somebody else 3 months later. I guess I dodged a bullet, you know. And it was a horrible living situation. She basically eventually got me evicted the beginning of 2021, and at the same time I had also lost my job. It was a horrible job anyway. I wasn't happy there, but I had nothing else lined up, which for me is really scary. I'm always the
Mm.
person with something else, and having nothing is just really, really scary. And it was at that point that I started watching your videos, and I reached out, and I don't remember what specifically I asked you, but I had the voice note that you sent me in a response, and it gave me hope. And I started watching doing your guided meditations and stuff, and more importantly, the letting go. So saying you have to let go is like a very generic, I guess, sort of thing, and it looks different for every kind of person. And I guess the turning point for me was figuring out what that meant to me, what that looked like for me specifically. And once I mastered that, everything just fell into place. I My career journey took a turn, and I changed careers entirely and got the six-figure job through networking, talking to the right people. I met my now fiance also through people and doing things that made me happy and that I enjoyed, not going specifically with that, oh, I need to find somebody, and like that holding on, I guess, sort of
Yeah.
feeling.
So
And
Shira, how
yeah,
how did you, just from a I agree with you, letting go is different for different people. When you said I had to work out what letting go was for me, what did you come up with? What was the answer? How did you do it?
so for me, it was like an actual feeling. So I raised my awareness to what am I feeling? What actual part of me is tense when I obsess and
Mm.
think about all these things that are going wrong? And I carry my stress and my tension in my shoulders and my lower back. And
Mm.
during those meditations, I just learned to let go, release the tension from my body. But not only during the meditations, but to do that throughout the day, every single one of my days, just start the day with I trust in the universe and I know it's going to work out, and I literally release that tension. It's
Mm.
it's just it's not like, okay, saying I'm letting go and feeling that tension and like anxiety, I guess, over the things that aren't working out. It's like this is working out, and having that trust, but literally letting that tension just go. Letting go of
Yes.
that tense situation in my muscles, and just the anxiety that comes with it, just learning to let go. And I remember talking to my mom at the time, and she told me, you seem at peace, like not worried. Usually I'm worried and obsessing and talking about things that don't go wrong. And at that point I realized that that wasn't working. I was already 31 or 32 at the time, and 30 years of things not working, something's got to change. So
Mm.
just learning to let go and relax and see what the universe throws at me. And it couldn't get any better.
Wow.
Even
It's
now
so
with our wedding planning, there's so many
physical.
things that are going wrong. Yeah, and like I keep I at one a couple of times there were tears, but afterwards I journaled and I wrote, this is what's going to happen, and it is going to happen. Like there are things that I'm worried about with the wedding, but I keep telling myself, here's what's going to happen, and it's going to happen. And like, yes, it was
Mm.
stressful and I cried, but now we got all the emotions out, got all the stress out, and it's going to work out. And so far, it has in a most amazing way. Even though I am in this six-figure job, I have a lot of student loan debt. My fiance got laid off like the weekend after we got engaged, and we had no money for this at all. We had a fundraiser through charity through our community, which almost nobody donated to, but people are coming
Yeah.
out of the woodwork to help us. My friend's dad has a band. They offered to play for us. One of my friends is doing my makeup. Another friend of mine, she sews prom dresses as a side gig. She is sewing my dress. It's just like everything's working out. And it's not necessarily we need money for a wedding. It's just this. I have to get into that mindset of this might cost money, but there might be a way for it to happen without costing money. So I'm not obsessing over our literally lack of finances for this wedding. It's just all working out somehow.
Yeah. We are supported. We are supported. We are supported. Oh, that's so nice. I like how you talk about it letting go as a physical thing, because I agree with you. We hold a lot of stuff up here in the jaw, in the
Yeah.
back, it's like this tight thing going on. And when you sit down to meditate and you become aware of yourself, you realize how tense you are. And then doing the breathing and doing a meditation, or just doing it,
But the
you can
key
sit
is,
in a chair.
yeah, but the key is when you're in a doing a guided meditation, someone's walking you through that and you're doing it in that moment. But it's learning to take that and keep that being
Mm.
able to release in your day all throughout the
Yes,
day, not just in that 10-minute meditation. And
that's
that was
right.
hard to learn. Yeah.
It's just a simple breaking down of how to let go. Because people say, okay, well, how do I let go? I said, well, first you have to be willing mentally. And then you've got to say, what am I doing that's keeping me not from letting go? And it is a physical thing. It's mental, spiritual, emotional, like crying it out and letting the emotion out. That's a letting go. But I agree
Yeah.
with you, you can't just do it for 10 minutes in a meditation time and then get all tense the rest of the day, because that's really just not, it's negating what you're doing in meditation. So that's so good. So how did you meet your guy, and how did it unfold? Like, where did you meet him? Was it part of work as well or separate?
So no, so I love nature and the outdoors and camping, and I've been camping for the past like 7 or 8 years. And there's this music festival slash camping trip weekend that I volunteer at every summer, and I've been going since year one. The first year was 2017 or 2016, and my fiance started going 2018, but I didn't meet him till 2021 because there's
Okay.
just like this past year there was like 900 people at this event, and our paths didn't cross till 2021. It was really funny because we both live in the same city. I have never seen him before, so it was really funny. So I was bringing all my equipment to my campsite, and he saw me and said, do you want some help? And at the time, I was also reading some books about dating and learning to be more feminine, and you have to let a guy help you. So I said, okay,
Yeah.
sure. That was his first time camping. He did not know how to do anything, but I was really nice about it. So, anyways, so one of the Philly sports teams, their colors are red, white, and blue. I live in Philadelphia, and I have this
Yeah.
camping chair that was bright red. You could not miss it. So after him struggling for a few minutes, I said, "It's okay, I got this," and he said, "Okay, fine," and walked away. 10 minutes later, I meet up. He bumps into me again, and then he said, "So are you also from New York, like the rest of the people here?" And I just started laughing. I was like, "Did you not see that chair on my campsite? Like you can't miss it." And we started talking, and turns out we live in the same city because that event does attract a lot of people from New York, but he's also here in Pennsylvania. And
Yeah.
we started talking, and he took my number, and we texted a little bit that summer, but it didn't really go anywhere because he was dating someone at the time.
Okay.
Um, Fast forward to October of 21, and he texted me out of the blue, and I had actually forgotten about him. I literally responded, "Oh, I forgot you exist." My
Yeah.
friend was like, "Why are you texting him that? That's horrible." I said, I don't know. It just came to me. But anyways, I met him at the same festival in June
Yeah.
of 2022, and that's when we started dating.
And he'd been single for a while then, and did
So
he did
yeah,
he did he say anything about I found you attractive? I really would have liked to get to know you, but I was with someone. And did he say anything about that later on?
so later on, he did tell me what went down. So he was with somebody who was not good for him. It was a toxic relationship, but she was he knew it was going to be a messy breakup. She was one of those kind of people, and he just
Mm.
didn't want to have to deal with that, and he didn't know how to deal with it. So he spoke to a couple of his friends, and he eventually like left all his she moved into the apartment that he was renting at the time, and he just like left her the apartment, left all the stuff. He did not want to have to deal with that situation. And she knew he was going to break up with her, and she like tried to make it work, but he was like, this isn't gonna work. And that was before he even met me. But once he met me, he like told his friend who runs the festival, it's actual mutual friend of ours, that like he really likes me, but he doesn't know how to break up with his current girlfriend who he's been wanting to break up with for a while. And yeah, by 2022, it was already completely over.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
yeah, and then we
That's
had the
lovely.
space. Yeah, it was funny because I actually had a date scheduled for the he came back from the festival on Wednesday. I had a date with someone else scheduled for Friday or Saturday night, and I told him I ended up canceling on that guy because
Yeah.
he texted me Thursday afternoon, and I said, "Oh, oops." But we're the two of us are good friends with that guy that I bailed on because we see him at different
Oh.
events. Yeah. And I told my fiance, like, we need to find somebody for him. I feel bad. But he's a nice guy, that guy. Yeah, he had no ill will towards us. His it really did all work out.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, for anyone watching who's single and lives in Philadelphia, it might be a good recommendation.
Yeah, but I think
Uh,
more importantly was you have to you attract what you put out there, and that's why I read a lot of books about dating in addition to doing the law of attraction and meditations and stuff, because I knew what I wanted and what I wanted to feel, but in order to become a person that would come to, I had to do a lot of soul searching and self work on myself, and I had like
yeah.
no dating skills. So
Yeah.
expand your horizons a little is helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you dated for how long before he asked you to get engaged?
So we started dating June of 22, and he proposed this past July 23.
So about it, just over a year. That's
About a year.
really lovely. Yeah. And were you visualizing engagement, or did it just kind of unfold naturally?
We did talk about it, but I didn't want him to feel pressured. But he himself was talking about it. He just had a lot of credit card debt that he had to pay
Yes.
off, and he had to deal with that. But once I got him his favorite breed of dog, we have a dog. I got him his favorite dog. He was like, "We're a family now. I have to propose." Like that was his mindset. I was like, "Okay, that wasn't my intention with the dog, but okay."
Yeah.
And let me say
Yeah.
one
Isn't
thing, that proposal did not go down the way I envisioned it, but I'm glad it happened, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
wonderful. And when is the wedding plan for? Have you set a date?
Oh yeah, February 4th, it's coming up.
Very soon, a month. Actually, it's January 4th here, so it's exactly a month away.
Yeah.
Wow. How
Yeah.
wonderful. That's
We're
so
really
wonderful. And
excited.
are you from similar cultures or different
Yes.
cultures? What kind of
Well,
a
yeah,
mix
we're
is
both
it?
Jewish. Yeah, we're both Jewish. I grew up religious. He
Okay.
did not. So we'll be having a Jewish ceremony. Yeah. It's
Oh,
yeah.
beautiful. Beautiful.
I,
That's
I
so
I don't mean a
wonderful.
lot of Jewish guys that are like him in any way, shape, or form. So yeah. And I did at the time, back when I was in that bad
Yeah.
situation with my previous roommate, I wrote in the journal exactly how I wanted to feel with someone, and he makes me feel that way every day.
Mm.
Yeah. Because you could write a shopping
Wow,
list of
that's
I want him to be this
beautiful.
tall with this
That's
color eyes and whatever, but like I think it's more important is how you feel, you know?
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I agree. I agree. I think it's really, Shira, the most important thing how you feel. That's the golden nugget within a relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was something that was like I had to learn that, you know, because like I grew up with okay, you got I've got my undergrad, I've got my master's degree, I have a bunch of certifications. Like my parents and my grandparents were like, "You're gonna go marry someone who went to college." My fiance did not go to college, and I honestly don't care.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like people put this vision into your head also of like who your match would ideally be, and just throw that all out the window. Just focus on how you want to feel, because
Yes.
I've I've met people who have tick everything on my list with like the external stuff, like their education or their height or whatever, and I don't feel anything, and quite the opposite. They were horrible people. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of, well, it's no surprise because the older generations, that's what was important to them. Whereas the generations below, it's adjusted. There's mixed race, there's different cultures, there's different religious beliefs, and people can, if they love, those things are not as important as how you feel when you're with someone. So, you know, I
Exactly. So
understand
I
that that's how
actually,
the,
yeah,
go
so
ahead.
I actually was not attracted to him at all when we first met. And it was because of some of those external things that I also had to learn to let go. So I grew up very devout, really religious, where tattoos are a taboo. Like my mom told
Yeah.
my brother, do not bring home a girl with tattoos. And I assumed that applied to me
Yeah.
too. This guy has a lot of tattoos. So when
Yeah.
I first met him, I was like, it was like a turn off. I was like not attracted to that, but I figured, okay, we'll just be friends. He seems like a nice guy, and we had a lot of nice conversations. So I wasn't even
Yes.
thinking about dating this person when I first met him. And I told him right off the
Yes.
bat, like tattoos are not my thing. But now they've kind of
Yeah.
grown on because I see him as the person he is, you know, and we had
Yeah.
really fun times and good conversations and fun adventures, you know.
That's so great. People have different histories, it's just how are your parents with him because of the religious background? Are they okay?
So my mom was here this past June for my cousin's wedding, and she met him, and she really likes him, and so did my sister. My father like refuses to interact with him, which is fine because they live a 12-hour plane ride away, and at the end of the day, he's not gonna see my dad very often. So it is what it is. And
Yep.
I think my happiness is more important than my father's approval at this point.
Yeah. Well said. My happiness is more important than my father's. That's profound statement. Well
I think
said.
I know a lot of people who grow up in different religions have that where like they strive to make their parents or their aunts, uncles, relatives like
Mm,
approve of them and their lifestyle and stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to prioritize your mental health. You know, I lived under my parents' shadow of what they wanted for me for way too long, and I was miserable. And
yeah.
that was also something that I needed to put behind me, that
Mm,
feeling of like I'm unhappy. Why am I not I am why am I unhappy? And it might be because I'm doing something that's not actually good for me, but people tell me it's good for me.
yeah. Wow. I mean, that's quite a big mental maturity jump in your 30s to go, you know what, I know that's what they want, but I need to look at that I've been miserable because I've been following what they want. And I'm actually going to make a change and I'm going to prioritize what I want. And that's a huge jump. It's a
It
huge
was
jump. What do you,
yeah,
yeah, what do you think made you make that switch? Was it the being miserable?
it was a combination of things that came to this. So I'm originally from here, from the USA, and my parents moved to Israel when I was a child, when I was 7 years old. And I once they made that move, I always envisioned myself coming back. Like that it was just something that I knew I would do. And it took a long time, but I finally did it. And once I got off that plane and landed here, it just felt like this is where I belong,
Mm,
And
yeah.
all the 17 years living in Israel, I was absolutely miserable. I struggled to find work. I lived by my parents' house because finding housing there is so expensive. And
Yes.
nothing worked out for me. I dated horrible people who were abusive and toxic, and it was just I'm home now. Like it
Yeah.
when you're in the space that you're meant to be in, you feel it, you know?
Mm,
And there's no more of that like silent judgment of people around you and like,
mm,
oh, you're like in your mid 20s and still single and like because in the religious world I came from it was like you're an old spinster if you turn 23 and you're not married. So
yes.
yeah, so
Yes.
I needed to get away from that in order to develop as a human, Like I could not see
Mm,
myself getting married that young when I had no idea what I wanted to do. I wasn't settled in a career. I was struggling to keep a job. Like I could
yeah.
not have a family
Mm,
like that and just getting away from all of that judgment and all that anxiety that they induced was just a
yeah.
major change. Yeah.
Mm, that's so wonderful. Okay, now hop over to the job. How did that happen?
How did the job happen? So I was an accountant for 10 years, worst 10 years of my life. I was unhappy. And every time I thought to myself, okay, well, if I get to this point, maybe I will be happy in my career. Like if I go get an MBA, if I work for this company or that company, I worked for one of the biggest telecommunications companies in the USA. I won't mention which because
Yeah.
I experienced horrible anti-Semitism in that workplace, and it wasn't 1923, it was 2015.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was absolutely horrible. And I got to there and I was like, okay, I'm still unhappy. And then I lost that job. I had a bunch of other jobs. It was just I struggled to hold down a job. And when I did have work, I was miserable. I wasn't happy. It was boring to the point where I would have my two screens and a third computer with a TV show running while I was doing my work because it was so boring and brain numbing. Like I could multitask that way. Like one of my friends introduced me to some podcast that had like 300 episodes, and I told her I'm already up to speed. When's their next one? And she's like, "How did you listen to all that so fast?" I said, "Oh, don't even ask." um, yeah, and so I thought, okay, how about if I get my CPA? Maybe if I have my CPA, I'll get higher paying jobs and then I'll be happier. So I went to grad school and again, I was not happy. And I did enjoy a lot of the leadership classes. And my brother, I knew from the beginning that I wanted to try to get into the tech sphere in any way that I could. I actually wanted to do my undergrad in computer science, but they didn't have it at the college I went to. So I took as many computer science and computer whatever classes as I could as electives. So they had a couple that were project management. And one of the guest speakers, he transitioned from finance and accounting to that kind of workspace to project management in the tech sphere, managing a group of developers. And I loved it. That was my favorite class. I got perfect scores in it. The professor has asked me to come back to speak to his students a couple of times. And so I connected with that guest speaker who I mentioned. And he has a podcast with a bunch of other people, and he has a Discord server, and I joined it. And I've been on their podcast before, and I was very highly involved in that. And he told me get this certification. So I got the certification, and I got 2 questions wrong out of 80 on the test for that. I passed it with flying colors and with zero experience. And if there wasn't any other indicator, I told myself, well, that's it. So so after, and not only that, I started following some other career coach on YouTube that a friend of mine who did a career change told me about. But I also was like doing a lot of guided meditations for like, okay, what kind of job do I want and how do I want to feel in that job? Because I knew what miserable felt like.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so I looked up what was the number one company for work-life balance and that were doing interesting things. I'm interested in robotics and AI, and NVIDIA was like at the top of the list. I got to round 5 of interviews with NVIDIA with zero experience, no experience whatsoever. And after round 5, I realized I didn't want to work for them because this was over the span, well, actually it was round 4 over the span of 5 months. And I figured if this is their hiring process, I don't think I want to work for them. But I was very proud of myself for getting that far with like the number one company in the field with no experience on my part. And then somebody posted my current, not my current position, but a position in the company I currently work for on that Discord server. It was actually one of the other guest speakers who was in the class that I took. And so I went to the website and I saw my current position and I asked him, do you know the hiring manager? And he connected me to the guy. And long story short, that's when I got my current job. But what's more important is in the meantime, I had started a temp to hire job that was actually an accounting job, but I asked, it was a small company. So I asked the guy, could I do like help desk and IT stuff too? Because I wanted to gain some experience. And he said, yeah, sure. They let me have free reign. It wasn't my favorite workplace because they were a little sketchy about some things. They weren't upfront about some things, but I told myself, this is the job I have now and it's helping further my career. Maybe it's a stepping stone or something, but I'm going to work on being happy where I am right now. If this is where I am right now, then I'm going to make the most of it. And I was there, like, I started that job in June of 22. And in November of 22, I started my current position. So it was like me on my walks to work, because that was an in-person job. So on my walks to work, I would just put in like calming music or a meditation and just visualize, okay, how do I want to feel in my job today? And like, yes, this isn't from going into an office because I had grown to hate offices because of the accounting jobs I had. I had horrible bosses and just offices made me very, very unhappy and anxious. But I told myself this is that career coming with me, even though I'm not going to do that at my job right now. I need to learn to let go of that tension and live in the moment and enjoy this job while I have it. And I think that was a lot of what helped me get to my current position, because I told myself, okay, even if I don't get my current position while I was interviewing for it, I told myself, at least I have this job, and I'm grateful I have this job because it's a foot in the door. So I decided to ask for a ridiculous number for my salary for my current position and just see what will happen. And they gave it to me. And I was like, what? So they told me, I asked the HR person, she told me what are your salary requirements. I asked her what's the range that's offered for the job. She told me between like 90 and 100. I asked her for 120. And I got 120.
Okay.
And I was like, what? It was mind-blowing. I had
That's so great.
to them to tell me, thank you for your time, we'll go with someone else. But you know, when you really truly believe in it, oh, looks like she dropped. Oh, there you are. You dropped.
Yeah. That's so great. Like you just stretched mentally. Okay, that's what she's told me, but I'm going to stretch it and just see what happens. And you did it. That's
Yeah,
just
I
awesome.
had watched some videos about salary negotiation, and like if she told me that was the range, like so I so the salary negotiation videos say like, okay, so if you know that's the range and it's something you're happy with, then yeah, you could ask for like the 100. But I
Yeah.
decided what's the worst that can say, if I ask for
Yeah.
20 more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, not only
That's
that,
right.
I got a raise this year. They're
Good.
happy with me, and yeah, it's my dream job. I get to work from home. I don't need to go into an office. It is fully remote, and I enjoy the flexibility. My boss is amazing, and it's a company where people actually mentor me,
Mm.
and I never found that in accounting. In accounting, people were petty and mean. And like I said, I experienced discrimination in the workplace. And this
Yeah.
job is the opposite of all of that. It is just a dream
Mm.
come true. Yeah.
It's interesting because when you look back, you weren't happy and your job was a match to where you were at. And now
Yeah.
you've worked on, how do I want to feel in my job? How do I want to feel in my relationship? And then you work on that, then the external, well, it's a
Reflects that.
photocopy of your inside. Mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
It
so
truly
great.
works. So my fiance is actually really skeptical about all of this, but I had told him that I had done Rhonda, what's her name's her 30-day gratitude thing.
Rhonda Byrne?
And yes, yes, I
Yep.
have her 30-day gratitude book, and I've done it multiple times, and I've seen just like I said, miracles happening. And he
Yeah.
struggles with just his his mood and finding and expressing that gratitude for things that are already there. And I
Yeah.
tried to do it with him, but he just wasn't really feeling it. But this week he actually approached me and asked me, "Can we start doing this again?" So I have hopes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. And it's interesting because there's a woman I know this week, she sent me this beautiful gratitude tracker. And it's exactly like it's the most beautiful document. So if anyone wants that for free, she said, she said that I can give it out. And I agree with you. If you're working on gratitude, you're feeling better. If you're feeling better, you manifest better. It's really
Yeah.
that simple. It's all about how you feel, and it's all about what you put your focus on. I think gratitude is one of the easiest practices and the most fruitful practices of all.
I agree. I think in the beginning, when I first learned about the law of attraction and stuff, it's like visualize how you want to feel. Like feelings are something so abstract that it's like hard to know how I want to feel if I've never experienced that before. So starting with gratitude was a really great
Mm,
place for me to start because I like I said I did her 30-day thing before I started watching your videos, and I had some breakthroughs at the time, but it was like kind of the turning point, like the start of
mm,
of things. I went from there
mm,
and I read Abraham Hicks's complete work, and
mm-hmm.
I found your channel, and yeah, that it really changed my life. But it was
Wonderful.
the beginning, and it was very helpful in learning how to feel those feelings that I've never experienced before, like my entire
Yeah.
career was miserable. I didn't know what feeling like this felt.
Yes. Yeah. And in particular, this feeling in connection to work and meaningful work.
Yeah.
That's so good. Is the Rhonda Byrne 30-day, is that a free thing or something you have to pay for? Because I can put the link down below for people if they want to check it out.
I think you could buy her book on Amazon. It's called The Magic, I believe.
Oh, that book. Okay. Yes, I've
Yeah.
got that one. I've got that one. Yeah, it's a great book. She's got lots of
Yeah.
great books, but that one in particular is excellent. Oh,
Yeah, that
Shira,
one I
thank
don't
you.
remember. Yeah, that one somebody recommended. I don't even remember who, but
Yeah,
yeah, it was really great book.
yeah, excellent. Good one. Well, thank you for sharing all that. I think people will just, it's such a simple thing what you have to do. but it's working out what is the most important thing to do. And you've broken it down so simply and so well today. And you've had two massive, I mean, love and work are two of the biggest
Yeah.
areas in our lives, and money. It's all connected. So
Oh, one thing I didn't mention, it was also, like I said, I had a horrible roommate and I basically got evicted. I moved in to such a nice little apartment before we started dating. He actually was moved in with me into that apartment after I had been there for over a year without him. It not only was it a great little apartment, great location. At the time I qualified for the government paying for my rent because it was still COVID. And
yes.
I had great neighbors there. I'm still in touch with some of them. Wonderful people. Like the neighbors we have now aren't even that, they don't talk to us at all. But the neighbors there, like we did potlucks together and celebrated birthdays. So it was like the best place I ever lived. And that was after
Mm.
having a horrible roommate. So I forgot to mention that too. It was just, it kind of paled in comparison to everything else.
Yes, yes. Oh, that's great. And it's like the happiness and joy of having a wonderful relationship was projected out and then reflected
Yeah.
back through the people around you. Oh, that's so beautiful. Well, can people either contact you via email, or do you want to answer the comments in the thread? What's
Yeah,
preferable to
yeah.
you?
They could yeah, they could send me emails. That's fine. It's Shira's Rocket Mail at Gmail. That's SHIRAROCKETMAIL at Gmail. That's a long one.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to post it
Okay.
in the in your description for this
In the
video, that's
in the
fine because you
description.
have it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then will you answer the comments in the thread? Because that way other people, when you answer one comment, everybody benefits from what you say as well. And I know they will really enjoy this. Thank you
Yeah,
so
I'll
much
make an
for your
effort.
time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. I was just so excited to do this. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you too. And you know what, Shira? How about we do something in another 3 to 6 months? Let's do a check-in with you. I mean, I don't know if you want to send us some of the photos of the wedding. We can put them on the
Yeah,
community tab if you feel to share them. People love, I think, well, people love proof. They love to see what the
yeah,
results, and I'm
yeah.
sure you will look amazing. So
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, that
thank you, my
I
lovely. Do you
I
want to say?
appreciate it. Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
Do you want to say any last words? Any last words before we go?
I just want to say that my fiance is also, he needs to see proof. That's why he just asked me again if I want to do the 30-day gratitude thing again, because he sees that it works for me. And let me just say, if it could work for me, it could
Yeah.
work for anybody, because I came from literally nothing. I think I wrote in the question that I sent in, yes, originally, that I'm basically homeless, unemployed, and single. So from there to here, it happens and it can happen for anybody.
Yes. Single, homeless, and unemployed. That's brilliant. I love it. It's so much an internal journey, and you are such a great example. Still, well, you're still doing the work because you obviously enjoy it. You can see results, and you think, okay, what's next? Let me pay off my debt, my student loans, or let's get married, or whatever.
Yep.
There's always something to move further ahead with, and that's really good. Well, thank you everyone for joining Shira and I. And if you made it this far, I will put her email address down below. I will put the gratitude tracker down below, and I will put the information about Rhonda Byrne down below. I'm actually in Australia, where Rhonda Byrne is from, and I know she's not too far away from me. So I think she's just a wonderful woman, and her book, The Secret, and all of that was the beginning of all of the most amazing books for her. The Secret was the first one, and then there's been many. My mum's at the moment, and my Rhonda Byrne, I think there's 5 books of hers. All 5 of my books are here. So you've jogged my memory to start to share some of her stuff on YouTube. So thank you, Shira. Shira,
Yeah.
stay on the recording. I'm going to pause this and then we can say bye in private. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.